What's going on, guys? It is FoxyDude98 here, and welcome back to a brand new F1 2017 career mode video for you guys today here on my channel. Today we are back with round number 4, which is the Russian Grand Prix for you guys. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, don't forget to click a like on the video, and that'd be absolutely awesome. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here as well. And guys, I have just realized after checking my phone that we have actually gone past 2,000 subscribers on this channel, which is, honestly, it was something that I never saw coming in my entire time. So I kind of don't really have anything to put into words on how thankful I am. But the support on the channel, I've been saying it day in, day out, because I truly do mean it. It's been absolutely phenomenal, and to go past 2,000 subs is absolutely, it's just crazy in my mind to even think about it. Yeah, I never expected it, and I want to thank every single one of you for clicking the subscribe button, watching my videos, liking my videos, commenting cool feedback, and it's been absolutely amazing, and I'm really, really happy, and I can't thank you guys enough, and yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So I really want to say a massive thank you for 2,000 subscribers, and hopefully now I will continue to push on whilst F1 and whilst my channel is just doing so well. I'm going to keep on pushing, and hopefully now the next target is 3K subs, and I'm just going to keep going to those targets until it never happens. So yeah, I can't say thank you enough. So I really do appreciate it, guys. But we're here for the Russian Grand Prix now, and this is a track that I was strongly favouring to go my way. It's a track that I like, and it's a track that I've done well at, especially back in Season 1 with the Force India, where I started last and actually got a podium. So I was really kind of getting a little bit excited for this Grand Prix. We complete a core competency progress, which is simultaneous development, so we can develop, for an example, 2 engine parts at once rather than just the once, and then have to wait till that's developed before we go on to the next one. But as you can see here, we have got a problem with the gearbox, and it cost me some time in practice, and we're going to have to go and change that, which means we are going to get a 5-place grid penalty. And I also make an upgrade to the turbocharger. On the Mercedes, I found that the turbocharger wore out the most out of all the components. Obviously, the gearbox is something that I need to look into separately, but engine element-wise, the turbocharger wears out quite a bit. So I thought I would go and do something on that front to try and stop that. But the practice programs went really well. But into qualifying then, and we set a pretty decent lap there, and we're into P3. There's 2 Ferraris qualifying in front of us, but it's only Q1, so I don't need to be too concerned yet. And I am running with a slightly higher fuel load just for Q1 and 2, because I don't need to, you know, go crazy in those sessions. Into Q2 we go then. Felipe Massa fastest on a 1:35 flat. We're going to easily beat that because our last lap was a 1:33.7. And as you can see there, it's a 1:34.1. Slightly slower than Q1, but it should be enough to get us into Q3, so I'm not too concerned. And there it is in P6. Only half a second off of the 2 Ferraris' pace, but hopefully we can try and rectify that in Q3. Unfortunately for me in Q3, it actually got wet in Q3. We had to go to the intermediate tyres, and I didn't really want it to be intermediate tyres, if I'm perfectly honest. We are going to come across the line though, and it is going to be P3, which unfortunately was not enough to beat the team's objectives for this Grand Prix, which I was disappointed about. I felt like I could find time on my ultra soft tyres, but unfortunately the intermediate conditions came out, and it is an all Ferrari front row starts here in Russia, and I think it was a Ferrari front row in lockout in Russia in real life. I'm just trying to think now. It might have been. I can't fully remember off the top of my head, but yeah. So we didn't beat the team's objectives where we wanted to qualify, but we did beat Lewis Hamilton, and we're going to get into our session of goals, which is going to be to finish in the top 2, beat Lewis Hamilton, and yeah, let's get into the race.
It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today. Although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. And Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Massa, Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo and Magnussen, Verstappen and the Mercedes, Grosjean and Sergio Perez, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Daniel Kvyat and Palmer, Ocon, Sainz, Fernando Alonso and Pascal Wehrlein, Ericsson, And Stoffel Vandoorne completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alright then guys, so we're here for the start of the Russian Grand Prix on the grid, starting down in P8 after our gearbox penalty. And as you can see, it's going to be full wet conditions, but for some reason, even though it's full wet, we don't need to actually physically run the full wet tyres. We can get away with using the intermediate tyres because it's not quite wet enough for inters. I've had this in the Brazilian Grand Prix and it's really confusing how it's full wet conditions, but we don't need to run full wets. It's something that I don't really know about, but yeah, hopefully we can get off to a good start. But here we're on the grid now. We've got a couple of red lights coming on. We've got 5 red lights here for the start of the Russian Grand Prix, and it's lights out. We go here for the start of the Russian Grand Prix. It's been a good start actually from the 2 Ferrari boys in front, and as you can see there, Hamilton now slipstreaming Kimi Raikkonen. He might have made contact with their Felipe Massa as we now make slight contact there with one of the Haas cars as we go a little bit bumpy towards the background there and in towards turn 2 theoretically. Now it is Vettel leading, Raikkonen second, Massa third, Hamilton fourth, and we just about squeeze on through there past the Haas cars and also the Force India and the Red Bull, and we've already cleared a lot of the traffic and we're up into P5 now after we did start P8, so that's 3 places gained off the start line alone. Now we need to make our way up the field, and as you can see, Lewis Hamilton stuck behind Felipe Massa, which is a little bit awkward now, because if he gets stuck behind Massa and I can't pass Lewis Hamilton, those 2 Ferraris are going to just literally waltz off into the distance. So we need to start thinking of a way to get past Felipe, or maybe I might have to take matters into my own hands. But I'm going to see how Lewis gets on first as we look to try and stay with him at the moment. But if I find a place where I can get past Lewis, and you can already see now me all over the back of Hamilton and Massa, so I do actually need to get past, and I'm going to make this move just before the straight here. I get a much better run than Lewis Hamilton, and down the inside here on Lewis we go now, and that is us up into P4 now, and I do shove Hamilton wide there. A bit of an aggressive move on my behalf, but I need to just keep pulling through the field now and keep working hard here as we now look towards Felipe Massa and 2 Ferraris out in front here. And just before people ask as well, this is on the broadcasting cam. The reason it's not on my normal T cam from the actual in-game is because that footage, the first lap of the race corrupted, so I kind of have to go with this broadcasting view because this bit didn't corrupt as we go down the inside here of Felipe Massa, and now it is us versus the Ferrari. So let's see what our pace is compared to the 2 Ferrari cars, and let's see if we can get near them. That will be the main objective, obviously. If we can't, then we'll just have to probably settle for where we are, but I'm not looking to settle down anywhere soon. So as you can see here, at the end of the first lap, you can see the footage did come back eventually. It was the start sequence which was all messed up, so I just left the whole broadcasting thing. So hopefully you didn't mind a full lap-ish of broadcasting mode. But that's all I could do. On to lap 2 now, starting lap 3 of the Grand Prix, and you can see that we're now lapping very, very quickly. These intermediate conditions, they're working an absolute treat for us at the moment, and now we've got a fantastic run here. Kimi Raikkonen's in second, Vettel leads the Grand Prix, but now we are following these 2 drivers, and as you can see now, towards turn 1, we're actually going to brake much, much later than Kimi Raikkonen here, and nice and easily down the inside of Kimi Raikkonen. I didn't even need to do anything rash to get past Kimi. All I had to do was just put on the brakes when I needed to put on the brakes and just move over and take that inside line. It's a very calm and collected overtake, and in round towards the long swooping turn 3, we went very, very wide there. No intention on doing that, just had a little bit of the back end sliding, so I just let it follow along. And yeah, and on to the end of lap 3 now. We're right on the back of Sebastian Vettel, so the pace in this Russian Grand Prix is absolutely incredible now as we go in towards the last corner now. Sebastian just in front of us here. Back end sliding a little bit, but we once again set a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and now we're onto the back of Sebastian, and we're going to get a little bit of retribution perhaps after the Chinese Grand Prix. And around the outside we go here, and Vettel giving us very little room there on the outside there, but we just about make it stick. Round the outside we go and into the lead of the Russian Grand Prix, and that is exactly what we needed. And with the pace that we've got, we now need to start building this gap and seeing where our pace lies with the Ferraris, and then if it gets to the dry tyre conditions, then we'll have to see how our pace is compared to the AIs then. But for now, in these wet conditions, we're looking strong around Russia, so we just need to see what we're like when it turns dry. But for now, it's time to build a gap, and let's see how we get on. On to lap 7 of the Grand Prix now, coming on to the end of the lap, and now starting lap 8 of the Grand Prix. We come across the line to set a 150 flat, which is the fastest lap of the race so far. And yeah, we've been pushing very, very hard. Now, I was listening to Jeff on the weather report because it was drying up quite considerably. However, he said that the rain was still expected to last for another 10 minutes. So I decided to make the late call to actually come into the pits. And I felt like this was the good time to come in because Jeff said, look, we've got 10 minutes of rain left. You know, it's not clearing. So I decided, should I stay out and try and wait? Because it was drying up quite quickly on track, but with Jeff saying 10 minutes of rain, I just didn't feel the need. But my only concern was all of the drivers actually, Raikkonen, Vettel and Hamilton, all carried on, which was a little bit concerning because they stayed out. But I decided to make that pit stop. You can see the track drying up considerably there, but it is still raining. And Jeff has said, look, we've still got 10 minutes of this, so you don't need to worry about coming into the pits anytime soon. So we're taking his word for it. But you can see the track drying out quite considerably here. But yeah, if he says it's still raining, then we'll carry on our way here on lap 14. Now, closing into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, who also hasn't made a pit stop in this Grand Prix, and I believe the virtual safety car comes out. Romain Grosjean out of the Grand Prix here, so that's very unfortunate for him. I believe it was a mechanical failure for Romain, which kind of sucks, but I mean, you know, that happens. But as you can see there, I actually completely missed my braking point in the meantime there under the VSC. But as you can see, the VSC ends, and Hamilton and Vettel did get a little cheeky bit of VSC advantage whilst in the pits because they came in under the VSC, but not for the whole sequence. But my concerns were sort of short-lived after Hamilton and Vettel both pitted for a brand new set of intermediate tyres, and Jeff is telling me that the rain is still 10 minutes from stopping, so that I don't need to be worried about in this stage as Kimi Raikkonen stays out. There's Romain Grosjean's car there in the background, just unfortunately parked up here in this Russian Grand Prix as we continue to go around. You can see the back end sliding ever so slightly, but we've got a massive problem now, and that's on to lap 15 of the Grand Prix. Jeff is telling me it's now towards the crossover point. I don't believe Jeff at this stage in the race, but you may have just seen it in the top left just before I enter the pits. Raikkonen has gone onto a set of ultra soft tyres. You can see the Ferrari crew are ready for ultra softs actually for Vettel, but this is something that I'm really puzzled about. And this is something that I need to try and get clarified, as Hamilton also pits, and we all pit for ultra soft tyres. Jeff told me on my pit stop, which was 3 laps ago, that it was not going to stop raining for another 10 minutes. However, we're now pitting on for a set of ultra soft tyres. It's still raining and it hasn't fully dried up. So the weather conditions have gone completely out of my favour here. And once again, on strategy with weather, the Ferraris have done better than me on working out a strategy here. Kimi Raikkonen basically gained a pit stop very similar to Sergio Perez in Brazil last season. But on to lap 17, Raikkonen sets the fastest lap, and you can see now that he set the fastest lap. This is a lap later, and all of a sudden it's just dried up, even though it wasn't expecting to dry up. And when we were on the ultra softs on the first lap, it was still raining. I think it's still raining on the screen now. There's still droplets of rain, but we set the fastest lap of the race, and now the gap is 11 seconds between myself and Raikkonen. Sainz sets a new fastest lap. Raikkonen now sets a new fastest lap of 1:38.7 as the track conditions now improved. This is the lap when I would have expected it to get better, so I'm really, really confused about all of this, but we set a 1:33.8, which is even quicker, and the gap is closing now between myself and Kimi Raikkonen, and eventually Vettel goes and sets a 38.2, a tenth quicker than me, in fact, and then Hamilton sets a 38 flat, so the 2 drivers behind me, or in fact all the 3 of us, are all closing in on Kimi Raikkonen. On the next lap, that's another second improvement from Kimi as he goes and sets a 36.9 now, and we go into the final corner here now, and we're going to set an even faster lap of a 36.5, so you can see the track conditions just getting so much better now, and with Raikkonen catching some back markers, we might be able to close him by the end of the race. Vettel then goes 2 tenths quicker than me once again, and then Lewis Hamilton goes a 100th of a second quicker than Sebastian Vettel. On to lap 23 of the Grand Prix now. Unfortunately, the charge has stopped kind of, but we're catching up to some back markers here of Danny Kvyat and Marcus Ericsson here, and we're going to get past them very, very easily now. But unfortunately, I couldn't catch Kimi Raikkonen after the pit stops. The gap was just too big, and the weather system completely screwed me over in this Grand Prix. I don't know why they said it was 10 minutes left of rain or whatnot, but the gap is 11.5 seconds, so it's actually starting to grow a little bit as I took a lot of life out of my tyres in the early phases of this stint to really close up here as we come flying past Fernando Alonso in his, quite frankly, useless McLaren Honda, but that's okay because he's useless, so it really doesn't matter. But yeah, on to lap 25 of this Grand Prix, and on to the last lap of the race now. Kimi Raikkonen is going to come through and win his first race of this career mode. There it is, Raikkonen wins the Russian Grand Prix. I'm a bit mixed about this Grand Prix. I'm satisfied because I beat all of the team's objectives, and we're still getting a very consistent run going of, you know, first and second places, but I'm also disappointed at the same time because I was leading the race so comfortably, and then the wet weather system, like the information given to me was completely wrong. Like it said, as soon as I made my pit stop, you've got 10 minutes until the rain disappears. I came into the pits and it disappeared after 3 laps. And it didn't even stop and then converts into dries later on after it stopped. The rain was still falling, and then it said, right, let's go on to dry tires now. And the track conditions were perfect. So I am a little bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, but I did start down in P8, which was pretty far down the order, and we did come back up into 2nd place, and we should have really won the race if it wasn't for the problems. But at the end of the day, we'll take the race win, of course. Like for an example, in Bahrain, for an example, Lewis Hamilton was way quicker than me, and we did a lot of battling there to defend against him. And technically in that race, I probably didn't deserve to win. Here where I deserved to win, I didn't win, so it kind of balances out in fairness. I should have won the race probably, but you know, that's Formula 1, you know, nothing ever goes your way. You may be the fastest guy on the track, but that doesn't mean that you always need that element of luck, and it didn't come my way, unfortunately, in this Grand Prix. But there's the 4 race classification. We did the top 10 all actually finished on the same lap. In the driver's standings, then the gap between myself and Sebastian Vettel is 31 points in the championship, which is still a very decent amount. It's not even a small amount. It's a very good amount of points in the championship. But in the constructors, the gap between Ferrari and Mercedes is 25 points. So the constructor standings comes down after Ferrari did outscore us today. And then, as you can see, then we've got 375 resource points there, which we don't need to use at the moment. And as you can see, then we're now going to be getting a bunch of rivalry points there against Lewis Hamilton. And then in the team approval, we go back up higher in the approval, which is very nice to see.
Nothing like being trackside at a Grand Prix. Change of direction on these things is insane. I own a single-seater that I take club racing, but comparatively speaking, it's like a kid's pedal cart. And speaking of pedals, I need to borrow your right foot again. We have invitations to 2 more historic events, and we've got to choose one. So, take your pick.
Yes, so for the first time this season, we've decided to meet up with Jonathan. He's come to say hi, and he's come across and he's given us a couple of invitational events that we can do. So I decided to go with the time attack here in the Circuit to Americas. So we're going to be in the full wet conditions, so all wet weather racing, and we're driving the 2008 McLaren, and we've got to overtake 15 cars in the space of 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. I'm going to let you guys listen to this now, and I'll outro the video. guys, so as you can see then, we did manage to complete the overtake challenge. We actually did a very, very solid job with the overtake challenge in general. We got 16 overtakes. We did smack a couple of people, but they were just the track conditions. But if you guys have enjoyed today's video, drop a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well. I've got another video coming out later today as well. Thanks again so much for 2K subs. It's absolutely amazing. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care all.